This is the Work Smart Hypnosis podcast, session number 201. Work Smart Business, Print Money.
Welcome to the Work Smart Hypnosis podcast with Jason Linett, your professional resource for hypnosis training and outstanding business success. Here's your host, Jason Linett.
Welcome back to the program. It's Jason Linett here. And first and foremost, thank you to all of you for the incredible outpouring of good words and well wishes around the book launch earlier this week, as well as last week being episode number 200 of this series, going on about 4.5 years of running this podcast series and many more to come as well. In terms of an update on the book launch, yes, the book Work Smart Business, Lessons Learned from Hypnotizing 250,000 People and Building a $1 Million Brand, and an even longer subtitle for the next version of it, is still available on Amazon and will remain available on Amazon. You can check that out if you actually just head over to worksmartbusiness.com. That'll give you the details, or just simply the show notes, or really just search Work Smart Business on Amazon. I wanted to actually share just one more chapter of the book. We were going to be back into the regular string of things in terms of interviews and conversations and hypnotic teaching moments, but I'd share the cool thing was that in terms of the facilitation of the book launch, building a bit of a launch team to help support the project before it went public, being able to launch the book with well over 25-star reviews and really hitting some number one categories even before the book officially was released. That was awesome, and thank you to everybody who did that. Though it did trigger a thought in my mind that most of the reviews, most of the feedback was about one specific chapter of the book. My personal favorite is the one called Harness Lead Generation, because that's the whole value-first way of thinking about business that, in my opinion, the book is really about. Though really, there's a chapter in the book in the principles section called Print Money. And you'll hear the entire chapter. I've pulled the audiobook chapter and shared it with you in this week's podcast, just because of the outpouring of feedback about this one specific chapter, about really what happens when you start to think as a business owner, as you start to think as an entrepreneur, and as you start to realize there are so many opportunities that out there, and virtually, not literally, because we don't condone counterfeiting money, but virtually you can print money at a moment of making a single decision. And the way the chapter all hinges around a lovely little metaphor about cutting in line at roller coasters. So check out the book, still available, of course, on Amazon.com. Print version there as well, in addition to the digital. More details coming your way in terms of some cool projects around the Work Smart Business book. And with that, let's jump directly into this clip of the audiobook, the so far most popular chapter, apparently, that I've written. This is episode number 201, Work Smart Business, Print Money. Print money. Imagine being able to click a few buttons and turn on the ability to instantly earn more money. While this might sound like the false promise of a pop-up ad when browsing the web, you're about to learn how to make this a reality. From the start, I'll trust you'll understand that the print money chapter header is a metaphor. I hope it's obvious to you that I don't endorse counterfeiting money. Instead, you're about to discover a philosophy that realizes that business prospects are abundant. There is no scarcity of opportunity. There's only a scarcity of thinking. You just have to make it happen. Do you have a credit card bill you want to pay off? Model the stories in this chapter to simply take care of it. Did a tax bill just arrive that you didn't expect? Dissolve the stress and anxiety by running a few business systems to pay it off easily. Is there a silly purchase you've somehow justified to yourself because you just want it? I'm going to share with you the principles to make the money appear to cover the cost. You're going to learn the importance of financial responsibility. It's important to only spend the money you have rather than spending the money you don't have. The arc of business spending I recommend is moving from no-cost to low-cost strategies. The combined efforts of my email automation systems, podcast editors, and web designers are well over $1,000 a month these days. But I wasn't spending that when I started the business. My business can now easily handle the expense. Start with what you have and grow from there. Let's talk about jumping to the front of the line at amusement park rides. My wife and I love roller coasters. Our kids love theme parks. Living in the Northern Virginia area, the Six Flags America Park is less than an hour's drive away. The cost of season passes for the family turns out to be less than visiting the park 3 or 4 times a year. It was an easy decision to purchase season passes for the family and visit the park several times a year. The challenge I'm about to present to you is perhaps the epitome of a first world problem. Sometimes the best problems in life are the problems we create ourselves. If the conflict I'm about to explain was the biggest issue my family was facing at the time, clearly things were going all right. I know what you're about to read is ridiculous. This story illustrates that sometimes a small investment of money can pay a massive result. Please let this experience inspire much better investments in your life and your business. Again, my wife and I loved riding roller coasters. However, our children were not yet old enough or tall enough to ride the big rides. In the mix of watching the theme park shows, riding the family rides together, and visiting the children's play area, she and I would take turns, hanging out with the kids or riding a roller coaster by ourselves. The theme park was small enough that it was easy to trade off and ride the bigger rides, and then meet back up with the family. Easy. However, the summer season kicked into full gear. The lines were getting longer, and this strategy wasn't working anymore. Life is rough sometimes, isn't it? Like most parks, there's an option to upgrade your season's membership with a skip the line pass. It's not exactly cutting in line, as the feature allows you to reserve a spot in line without having to stand and wait. You receive a special watch or app to check in for a ride, and the device buzzes when it's your turn to board the ride. It was absolutely a frivolous option that originally seemed completely unnecessary for an extra $200 a year. We wanted to have more family time together at the parks while getting our roller coaster fix. Buying the Flash Pass option presented a solution. Pause the story. I've heard people in the marketing world tell similar tales of buying incredible cars with cash, purchasing their homes from a single email campaign, financing their children's college education with a product launch. We're talking roller coasters. I've got sexier stories, yet this one most colorfully illustrates the print money principle. This chapter could have been about how my wife and I celebrated our 10th wedding anniversary in Italy, financed by a single speaking engagement. Instead, we're talking about not having to sweat in line in the summer heat at a theme park ride themed around Superman. We had the money. It was just a question of whether or not to spend it. Instead, I decided to turn it into a game. I ran an online promotion for one of my programs that typically sells for $600. Through 2 targeted emails, I added a valuable bonus to open up 12 spots at a special rate of $500. If I was only to sell 1 unit of the program, the theme park expense was going to be covered for both my wife and I without touching our savings or regular funds. I didn't sell 1. I sold out the dozen within 1 day, profiting $6,000 thanks to 10 minutes of effort crafting an email to offer a special to my audience. The passes were purchased with more than $5,000 remaining for more important life expenses, like food, water, and shelter. You know, the important stuff. This is a strategy I employ on a regular basis. Harness the assets you already have, such as your products or services, and leverage them into quick income. The classic options for a promotion are either to discount, add more value, or perhaps blend discount and value together. It should go without saying that your business strategies must come from a place of honesty and integrity. I insist you only model these principles if you are truly serving your audience and your customers. The people who purchased the program I described above received a step-by-step system to help them better serve their clients and grow their business. Many of the buyers of this specific program have used it to launch their businesses and help hundreds of people on their own. Perhaps you've been on the receiving end of a sale where it was clear the seller viewed you as a potential dollar sign rather than a living, breathing human. Add value to people's lives rather than just taking their money. I urge you to only use your marketing powers for good. The modern mortgage system makes it a little more challenging for a self-employed person to buy a home. It's absolutely possible, yet that's an industry mostly familiar with tracking someone's payroll stubs from their employer. Just before we were ready to close on our home, the bank informed us that they didn't like that we had a balance of a few $1,000s remaining on a car payment. I ran a similar promotion to the roller coaster story to rapidly erase the debt and move into our home. Please let this principle inspire you. Had the scenario happened to most people, they would have lost the opportunity to move into their dream home. The best case scenario for some people would have been that they could have delayed the closing on the property to be more flush with cash, but then they'd run the risk of the sellers getting impatient and putting the house back in the market. Perhaps they'd be able to negotiate the delay of the closing of the home to collect a few more paychecks. If they chose to sell the car to rid themselves of the debt, the irony of the situation would be that they'd be erasing one debt to take on a bigger debt of the home. The old rob Peter to pay Paul story. Again, I must inject reality into these stories. For those of you in the startup phases of your business, I'm not going for the boastful story of how I paid off a sports car and to buy a mansion. This is the story of paying off a minivan to move into a 4-bedroom townhome. The principle of print money teaches you to work smart in your business and finances. You hold in your hands the power to instantly change your cash flow. Buy into the premise that you can turn your income on like pushing the button of a printer. When you work from the presupposition that this is the absolute truth, you open your eyes to abundant opportunities for business success in the world around you. Please resist the temptation to fall into scarcity thinking with several "yeah, but" objections. Want it to be true? Expect it to be true, and you can make it true. The opportunities are abundant. You just have to seize them. I meet too many people who are stuck in a lifestyle living paycheck to paycheck. I once worked 60 hours a week for a job that only paid me the value of 40 hours effort. At the end of the year, I was rewarded with less than a 5% raise. This situation is far too common. I vowed never to be stuck in that situation again, and I'll help you avoid it too. This doesn't have to be an either-or decision. You don't have to only be the entrepreneur or the employee. You could do both. It's a myth that you must have multiple streams of income. It's a myth that you have to. The reality is you absolutely should. It's okay to be really successful. I still find it amusing that I have to give this disclaimer when speaking to some business groups. Earning money is not a bad thing. I meet too many people suffering from savior syndrome, the selfless urge to deeply discount their value or give it away for free. It's a good thing to earn money. The world is a rather expensive place to live. We have to provide for our family, to have food, water, and shelter. It's important to take the occasional vacation with your family, reinvest in your business, or, as frivolous as it may be, reserve your spot in line for a roller coaster. My clients receive 100% of my focus when we're working together because my attention is on them, rather than worry if my bills will be paid on time. Remove the "I need the money" mentality from your life. You'll have a stronger ability to respectfully turn away clientele that may not be a fit for your business. There's no need to operate from hunger. Instead, you can lead with service. My parents are both wedding photographers. I remember the story of a local pastor who published his pricing for officiating a wedding. The man was an incredible speaker and helped couples create a truly memorable wedding ceremony. There was one set of fees if you were a member of his congregation, and a rate nearly double that if you were not. There was a brief uproar in the local community as he explained, "My kids should have the same ability to go to college as yours." As you embrace your right to print money, an amazing correlation occurs. The higher the buy-in for someone to make use of your services, the higher the value you receive from the clientele. Keep your ethics focused. I don't endorse charging a ridiculously high fee to give a false sense of perceived value. Charge what your service is worth, or even better, charge what the value of the results will be. Typically, the more someone invests, the more they're ready to make use of what you're going to share with them. The benefit comes back to you. Reinvest in your skills, continue your education, provide a better product or service to your clients. Compete with yourself to improve yourself and your industry year after year. The more we're all successful, the more we're all successful. Embrace the mindset that you can print money. There's money out there on the table, and sometimes you just have to pick it up. You have assets that you have not yet leveraged. There's knowledge or a set of skills that you have that others may benefit from. Maybe you know a solution to a common problem. Perhaps you have a better method than how most people do something. How do you discover markets that have not yet been tapped into? Listen. So many needs are out there waiting for a solution to be presented. Listen and discover a need you can help satisfy. You have a book waiting to be written, an online course waiting to launch, a workshop others will benefit from, or perhaps a product that will make the world better. Information has value. Start to think in numbers. What annual income would you like to earn? Divide that down into months, weeks, or even into individual days. Once you have this daily number, reverse engineer the strategies you need to employ to make that happen. Many years ago, when I wished to double the size of my office, I knew this would also likely double the cost of my rent. By reverse engineering the income necessary to handle the expense, it became easy to justify the cost. An editorial calendar can become a game changer for you. In my business, I know what podcast I'm publishing and what programs I'm promoting several weeks in advance. This keeps my communication clear and my message focused. It also allows me to balance the art of providing value to my audience more than just making sales offers. Embrace your ability to print money to experience a shift in your financial strategies. My view of business or personal expenses is now correlated with the income of coaching sessions, keynote presentations, and product sales. The cost of our mortgage or medical insurance for my family may be a financial burden, yet it equates to one day of clients in my office or perhaps the income from one student attending a course. One day of clients or one student completely finances these necessities. Thankfully, I'm in my office more than once a month, and my classes have a nice attendance, so these expenses are less of a burden. Be warned, don't spend money you haven't yet earned. Unrealized value is money that doesn't yet exist. People talk about the value they hold in their homes, their cars, or even stocks, yet the value truly doesn't exist until someone is willing to purchase them from you. In the 1990s, Jim Carrey played a character in a sketch on the comedy show In Living Color. The bit was poking fun at the popular television psychics at the time. Jim Carrey's character gave an excited testimonial. "My psychic told me I'd win the lottery and quit my job. Today, I quit my job. I'm halfway there." Don't spend money you don't yet have, though do embrace earning potential. Even better, make it a game. I mentioned the goal of increasing the size of my office. Rather than the single-room suite, I needed multiple rooms for staff plus a classroom. This move would result in doubling my rent. I installed a mental rule to justify the move. I have to put on an event every month that, from the single effort, will cover all the expenses of the office space. The admission from just a single day or evening's event should finance the rent, power, and internet expense. My business was already thriving enough to support the higher rent, though I applied the print money principle to scale up my business year after year. Realize you can print money to print even more money. In addition to putting on these events, the cameras are rolling. They become my products. One strategy to quantify and qualify a higher expense eventually tripled my annual income. Let this be a trailer for the upcoming chapter, Design Systems. Every experiment you run in your business is an audition to learn what works best, so you can later duplicate your methods. You can now turn on these machines or systems in your business at will. If a random unexpected expense occurs, you will experience less stress knowing exactly how to print money, so you can move on with your life. Years ago, my websites were briefly shut down because the company hosting my sites got hacked. The code of my sites was breached with viruses and malware, so Google did the appropriate thing and hid my websites from search results. That was appropriate for them. It was horrible for me. Most of my clients were discovering me on the web. If my businesses weren't appearing online, this could have shut down my business. My team began to scrub the websites and migrate them to another host. Meanwhile, I got out into the community, networking and giving presentations on what I do. I ran the print money principle by falling back on systems I previously found to work. There was no lapse in business. Business only got better as the web issue was resolved. People buy from people. Create an open line of communication through articles, updating websites, sending out emails, and even posting the occasional selfie video on social media. Provide more value than what you ask in return, so when you do ask for the sale, the reciprocity relationship is already in motion. Give, 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 get. Let these stories inspire you to take action. Keep an ongoing list in the Notes app of your phone of ideas you are ready to implement. Track your assets and brainstorm how to leverage them. There's no such thing as finding the time. There's only making the time. Schedule time to design your systems and create the material necessary to supercharge your business. There's money on the table waiting to be picked up. Yes, you can print it yourself. Work smart action steps. There's no such thing as finding the time. There's only making the time. Schedule time to look at your calendar and plan ahead for timed strategies to print money. Give yourself a specific deadline to create the assets necessary to leverage into income. Experiment with changing your offers. If you only ever do a promotion themed around a discount, you may accidentally train your audience to wait until you offer a discount before they buy. I won't shop at Bed Bath & Beyond unless I have one of those big blue 20% off one item coupons they mail to my home every month. Test your market by making an offer that comes with the bonus of added value. This could be an additional training, an extra live session, or perhaps a personalized coaching call. Continue your personal swipe file action step from the Create Assets and Leverage Them chapter. I keep an ongoing list of opportunities in the Notes app on my phone, so these strategies are in the chamber ready to be fired off at the appropriate time. In addition to tracking your assets, track how you're going to put them to use. Jason Linett here once again, and as always, thank you so much for sharing your feedback on this program online, posting it to your social media streams, leaving your reviews on iTunes, and if you haven't yet picked up a copy of Work Smart Business, check it out. Head over to Amazon, do a search for it, or link to it from the show notes, or quite honestly, every website I have will point there. And then also as well, as you go through the book, put the stuff into use, and then after you've read it, please head over to Amazon and leave an honest review. Your feedback is what helps to make the next version of it and future projects even better. You keep working smart, and look forward to seeing you soon.
Thanks for listening to the Work Smart Hypnosis podcast at WorkSmartHypnosis.com.
Hey there, it's Jason, and I want you to be one of the first to find out as we upload amazing new content. So do this right now. Click the subscribe button right here on this video. That's going to link you to our YouTube channel here, and you will be the first to find out as new resources and downloads are made available. Do it now.